Welcome to Money Music, where you will learn about the big money in vinyl records. I'm John Marshall, also known as Mighty John, the Record Guy, from MoneyMusic.com. With me, the man, the legend, the guy that knows all the rock and roll stars, the guy that could have been a professional golfer if he'd given up law. You could have been the next Terry Woods.
I don't think so.
Not Tiger Woods, Terry Woods. He was a caddy.
I could have been a caddy. Mighty John, my first job when I was in Orlando High School up in the Bangor area, was as a caddy at $1.50 a round. Yeah,
$1.50 a round.
Yeah, and then I go spend it all on soda.
Well, that's more than we're paying you now. So
that's true.
That was good. True. All right, Derry, at the end of the show, we will tell you how you can get the values for every Elvis, every Beatles record, absolutely free. No purchase necessary. Over 2,000 Elvis and Beatle records are on the list. Now, this podcast is meant for people who go to yard sales and flea markets, estate sales, thrift stores, and you record collectors, hoping that you can find some big money out there in vinyl. At the end of...
Yeah, go ahead, Mighty John. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Stay in your corner, and we'll call you when we're ready for it. On today's countdown of 20 records worth up to $100 or more, number one on our list is a best-selling album by Paul McCartney that can be worth $5,000.
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
And we'll also answer some email and do some free appraisals.
Yes, and we'll talk about rock and roll, folks, because although Mighty John says this is about people that want to get money from the records, many of our listeners are just rock and roll fanatics that love to hear the stories about rock and roll, and we got them. Because as Mighty John said, he's met most of them, and I know a lot of them. So if you have any questions about any rock star that you want to hear or know about, just let us know by email. Go ahead, Mighty John.
All right, Derry, who wrote and recorded The Times They Are A-Changin'?
That would be Bob Dylan.
Very good. I know you just saw the Bob Dylan
I just saw the movie. I had to think about it. I thought it might have been Pete Seeger or something.
Dino, our producer, was ready to jump in because I know he knew the answer. The Times They Are A-Changin', Bob Dylan's first album to feature only songs composed by him. The title song has become part of rock and roll lexicon and the epitome of what a protest song is all about. Well crafted and delivered by America's greatest folk singer. The album, originally released on Columbia Records, now worth up to $100 today. Dino, do you have a copy of that?
Not the original.
Oh, no. Dino.
And I also say they do that song in the movie and shows the audience reaction when that song was sung.
Great song.
Yeah, great song.
Now, Derry, can you name this female country music superstar who also had a situation comedy TV show in the early 2000s?
Whoa. Wait, who? Reba McEntire.
Yes, Derry.
Oh, my God. I'm mind-blown. I just threw that one out a while ago.
You're surprised when you actually know the answer, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right, Reba McEntire is a world-famous country music star and actress with her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. With record sales over 60 million, it all began with the release of her self-titled album in 1977. Released on Mercury Records, Reba McEntire, worth up to $100 today.
Well, I got to tell you something. I saw Reba McEntire as she played with Brooks and Dunn at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, put on an incredible show, which is very well liked by the audience.
Yes, wonderful woman.
Yep.
Now, see if you can get this one, be like 3 in a row.
Okay.
Well, on this album, by one of Hollywood's all-time leading men, are the songs Bouquet of Roses and Don't Fence Me In. The album was released to capitalize on his popularity on one of the greatest TV westerns, which ran from 1959 to 1965.
Whoa, jeez, yeah, tip of tongue, go ahead.
Rollin', rollin', rollin'.
Well, that would be a Rawhide.
Yes.
And that would be Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Okay. Clint Eastwood.
In 1963, to capitalize on the success of Clint Eastwood's popularity as, what's his name?
Rowdy Yates.
Rowdy Yates. On the TV series Rawhide, Cameo Records released the album Rawhide's Clint Eastwood sings Cowboy Favorites. Rawhide's Clint Eastwood sings Cowboy Favorites. Among the songs are Bouquet of Roses and Don't Fence Me In. It's hard to think of Dirty Harry is.
I
Listen to the album.
really have trouble with him being singing. I really do.
But the album is worth up to $125 today. Do you know who Ellie Greenwich was, or Greenwich?
Yes, I sure do. She was one of the great writers at the Brill Building and wrote songs for the likes of Neil Diamond and, oh my God, the Chiffons and everybody else. Go ahead.
I don't know any Chiffons.
Oh, well, okay. Well, one of them.
She wrote Be My Baby for the Ronettes.
Ronettes, okay. That's what I meant, yeah.
The Do Ron Ron for the Crystals.
Crystals, yep.
And Leader of the Pack for the Shangri-Las.
Yep.
In 1968, United Artists released the album Ellie Greenwich composes, produces, and sings. I'm not sure whether it's Ellie Greenwich or Greenwich.
I've already heard it pronounced Greenwich.
Yeah. Ellie Greenwich composes, produces, and sings. It's worth up to $150 today.
Well, good for Granny.
All right, now
Greenwich, Ellie.
Yeah. Now you're on a roll, Derry.
Yeah.
You know, so we want you to continue. What was the first hit for the Beach Boys, and what was their second release?
First hit with the Beach Boys was Surfing USA.
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Never mind.
And so the streak ends.
Yes. Yeah, what is it?
Surfing Safari.
Oh, I was close. Come on. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, if any word, as long as I get the word surf in there, that would have gotten that right on Jeopardy. Come on.
Well, their second release did not contain the word surfing.
That would have been In My Room.
No.
No. What was it?
It was called 10 Little Indians.
No way. I never heard that in my
10
life.
Little Indians was one of the Beach Boys' lesser hits, never coming close to their giant hits of the same period, such as Surfing Safari and Surfing USA. 10 Little Indians was the second single to be released from their Surfing Safari album. However, the 45, released on Capitol Records in 1962, is worth up to $150 with its picture sleeve. 10 Little Indians. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians.
No, I know how the song goes.
Yeah,
when they did it.
All right, here's a chance to redeem yourself. What was the title of this one-word Disney movie? The main character had big ears.
Dumbo.
There you go. And I understand that's the title of your self-titled biography.
Yeah, come on.
Dumbo.
Through this thing.
Dumbo was first released by Walt Disney in 1941 in hopes of making up for some of the losses it incurred from Fantasia. Dumbo, teased for his big ears, finds them handy when he wants to fly. Only 64 minutes long. It was one of the shortest Disney animated features that they ever produced.
Whoa, I did not know that.
The original soundtrack album released on Disneyland Records worth up to $200 today.
And if you go to Disney World, folks, you can actually ride on Dumbo.
Something I'm sure you've done.
Yes, I have. I'm proud to admit.
Okay. James Brown may have had many children, but in 1973, he became a surrogate father to 18-year-old Alfred. It was James who convinced young Alfred to shorten his first name to Al. Eventually, Al became James Brown's manager. You know Al from his many TV appearances as a political commentator.
No, my goodness. I don't know.
You do.
No, I know, but I don't.
Al Sharpton.
Oh, my. Yes. Well, I never would have guessed that in a million years. But yeah, Al Sharpton, the Reverend Al Sharpton, then becomes a political commentator. Yes.
Yeah. So James Brown.
I didn't know that he had a connection to James Brown.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
In 1981, the two joined up for a single called God Has Smiled on Me, with James singing and Reverend Al Sharpton preaching between the verses.
Tough boy.
Released on Royal King Records, a copy can get you $200 today. Reverend Al.
We're moving up in terms of the numbers. Ooh, yeah.
Yes, his story was like many others, a quick rise to fame, then a downfall to drugs, prison, and sadly, suicide. His biggest hit was Boney Maroney.
Don't know.
Larry Williams.
No, I wouldn't have guessed it, no.
Larry Williams recorded some of rock and roll's most enduring classics like Short Fat Fanny, Boney Maroney, and Dizzy Miss Lizzie. Each of these 45s can sell for $30. His 1959 album, Here's Larry Williams, released by Specialty Records, is worth up to $300 today. Reissues have 1980s info and copyright date on the back cover and are worth no more than $10. so make sure you always get an original. They are best known for their doo-wop hit, Since I Don't Have You.
Oh, my goodness, this just came on. I heard it the other night. The Elegance.
What is it?
Elegance.
No, that's Elegance is Where Are You, Little Star.
Okay, go ahead.
Give me another doo-wop name. See if you can hit it.
No, I can't.
All right, the Skyliners.
Yes, but who I've seen on the Malt Shop Cruise, the Skyliners, yes. They wouldn't have been on my tip of my tongue, but I do know who they are. I did meet them.
In the back of your throat, but not on the tip of your tongue.
No, right. But I did meet them. I think that was their only hit, wasn't it?
What was the lead singer's name? Do you remember?
No, I do not.
Jimmy Beaumont.
Oh, excuse me. Jimmy Beaumont. Forgive me. Jimmy Beaumont was huge, and the Happenings, my friend the Happenings, appeared in Florida. I went to see them, hang out with them, and Jimmy Beaumont was indeed there. And he sang, and people flocked for his autograph.
There you go. The Skyliners, one of the biggest doo-wop songs of all time with Since I Don't Have You.
Yes.
13 different record labels rejected the group in their now famous song before Calico Records said, okay, the 45 could sell for $50. Their follow-up hit was This I Swear Is True. Both can be found on their only album for Calico Records, The Skyliners. Released in 1959, it's worth up to $400 today.
Whoa, there you go. Jeez.
All right, let's see if you're on a roll again, Derry.
Yep.
His pregnant wife did not attend his funeral and has never visited his gravesite.
Oh, boy. I can't wait for this one. What is it? Who is it?
She blames herself for his passing and said that had she gone on tour with him, he would have never died.
I don't know.
Maria Elena, wife of Buddy Holly.
Oh, my God. And, of course, that song, Maria Elena. I did not know that. That is incredible. What a great story. I did know that. I think they do that in the movie, I think, perhaps. But anyway, she's the secretary that he met when he walked in the studio, fell in love with her right off the bat. That was a wonderful love story.
Yep. Now, Anything and Everything by Buddy Holly is collectible. Look for 2 EPs by Buddy Holly. One called Listen to Me, released on Coral Records, contains the hit Peggy Sue. It's one of the rare picks of Holly without glasses, and it is worth up to $400. In 1963, Coral Records released the EP Brown-Eyed Handsome Man. Not about Derry. It's worth up to $500 today.
Oh, my goodness.
If you get brown eyes, I can't tell.
I did have, but now they're like different colors. But I do want to mention the value of Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
At Disney World, they had his, it was like a prom jacket kind of thing with his name in it, and that was going for $100,000.
Yes, very collectible. How many dance crazes of the early rock and roll era can you name? I bet you won't mention this one.
Okay, I'm going to do the twist, the limbo rock, the Hully Gully, the bird, the Watusi. How many? The fish, which was Bobby Rydell's song. It's actually a pretty good song of the fish. The clam. That's as many as I can do.
I knew you wouldn't mention this.
What is it?
One of the biggest songs and dance crazes of the 50s and 60s.
The Bristol Stomp. No.
By the Diamonds.
Oh, the stroll.
There you go.
Oh, my God, the stroll. Well, of course, almighty, you said the 60s and the stroll. Actually, I beg to differ with you.
I said the early rock and roll era.
Oh, okay. I don't recall us doing the stroll when we got to Orono High School. I do remember the twist was our big dance. And, of course, they threw in all the Watusi, the versions of the twist. But I forgot the stroll by the Diamonds. I did see the Diamonds and meet the Diamonds in Florida. And by that time, they were like 80 years old, and that was quite a few years ago.
The Diamonds was one of the most successful white groups to cover the hits of some of the great black artists of the 50s. Among them was Why Do Fools Fall in Love, originally done by
Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers.
And their biggest hit, Little Darling. I bet you don't know who did that originally.
I do not. I thought they were.
No, originally done by the Gladiolas.
Boy, never heard of them in my life.
Following that was their top 10 hit, The Stroll, one of the biggest dance crazes of the 50s. A copy of the single worth up to $30. In 1956, Mercury Records released the EP Golden Hits by the Diamonds. A copy now worth up to $500 today.
And folks, for you out there that are younger, don't know what the stroll was, you'd line up, and then a couple opposite each other would stroll, do this two-step kind of thing down in between all the other people. And that was what the stroll was.
Dino, did you ever do the stroll?
Not even once, John. Not even once.
I'm telling you, Dino, then you haven't lived.
All right. In 1963, Columbia Records dropped this future star because his first record failed to make the charts. Who is he? If you can name the record, Derry, I will, again, wash your Ford Mustang.
Yeah, so so this was 1963, right?
Yep. Superstar.
And his record, I know it, no clue.
Neil Diamond.
Oh my God Almighty! Yeah, well, Neil Diamond was my favorite of all time, and now Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues is tied with Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond, unbelievable! Talk about a guy.
No. Your favorite of all time is Elvis.
Well, I gotta say,
Come on.
Yes, but he's in a class by himself. I'm talking about regular people.
Okay.
I mean, it's like saying I like the king, but I was more interested in the prime minister.
All right. That's a good way of putting it. Neil Diamond is as recognizable as any recording star of the last 50 years, with almost 100 million records sold, including 35 top 40 hits.
Yes, sir.
18 platinum albums.
Right.
But it all began in 1963 when Columbia Records issued the single Clown Town.
Oh, my God Almighty! I've heard that Clown Town. It's a neat little song. Yeah.
All right. It wasn't a hit. But
No, it wasn't. It was really bubblegum of the highest degree. It really was.
Clowntown, now worth up to $600 today.
Get out of here.
Clowntown. So next time you go see a Neil Diamond concert, tell no Clowntown.
Yeah, well, and as you know, that last show I brought in a record by Neil Diamond, and you said it was worth about $3. But I've got just about every Neil Diamond, and I've got the live shows. I mean, he sold a ton of not records, but CDs, and geez, just an extremely prolific man. And as I said before, I recommend going to see the musical Beautiful Noise.
All right, true or false? Did Buddy Holly and Phil Everly ever sing together on a record?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, because you know it's a true or false, and I was going to trick you. So
And
yes.
I did meet Phil Everly and became, as I said many times, friends with Eden Everly, the son of Don Everly.
Now, I bet you don't know who is Leo Giordano.
Oh, boy. That name sounds familiar. I'm telling you right now, but I don't. I mean, that's the real name of some record star.
Well, what makes his record special is that backing him up singing falsetto are Buddy Holly and Phil Everly. The song, Stay Close to Me, was not only written by Buddy Holly, but also one of the few compositions that he never recorded himself. Released on Brunswick Records in 1959, a copy worth up to $600 today. Time for another big name in jazz and big bucks to boot. John Coltrane's first taste of fame came in 1951 when he can be heard on Dizzy Gillespie's We Love to Boogie. But his fame blossomed in 1955, when he became part of the Miles Davis Quintet. And it wasn't long before his solo career began with his debut album, Giant Steps, now worth up to $700 today. In 1961, Atlantic Records released the album My Favorite Things by John Coltrane, and that can get you $750. What makes the Supremes' first album worth either $75 or $800?
I want to say something about the picture sleeve.
Well, it's an album, so there's no picture sleeve, but the cover is the answer.
Yeah.
All right. Look for the first album by the Supremes called Meet the Supremes. First issues shows Diana Ross and the Supremes sitting on stools. Second issues just show face shots of the Supremes. The Face Shots album worth up to $75, but albums showing the Supremes sitting on stools on the cover, $800 today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, I think I said it 2 shows ago that I saw Diana Ross just recently, came to Portland, Maine, did a concert. I had front row, stood the whole time. She and I made eye contact a lot. She did a couple things. And
she said, "There, baby, Derry, baby."
Well, she did. I was close enough. She was doing eye contact with me and smiling at me and did a thing where she looked at her eyes and pointed at me. But I got to tell you, I fell in love with Diana Ross in that concert. I tell you, folks, go see Diana Ross if you have any chance. She's just a wonderful person. They referred to her as kind of being a diva, all that sort of stuff. But and by the way, Mighty John, the one person that Brenda Lee kind of expressed a little concern about in her book was that Diana Ross wasn't all that warm to her when they met, and that's because they would have been vying at that particular time for the greatest female singer of the '60s, and that actually turned out to be Brenda Lee in terms of record sales. Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, following the success of the Doors' self-titled album, Elektra Records released their second album, Strange Days. It eventually went platinum, producing 2 hits. Any idea what those 2 hits might be? The Doors.
Light My Fire?
That was on the first album.
Oh, the second album?
Yeah.
People Are Strange.
Very good.
Okay.
One more.
Not going to get it.
All right. Love Me 2 Times.
Oh, yeah.
All right, People Are Strange with it, the $50 with its picture sleeve, Love Me 2 Times as well. A stereo copy of the Strange Days album is worth no more than $25, but an original mono copy from 1967 worth up to $1,000 today.
Oh.
Everything by the Doors is worth money. Do you know who Ed Bruce was?
Ed Bruce. No, I do not.
Ed Bruce began his career as a rockabilly artist for Sun Records. His biggest success happened in 1970 when Waylon and Willie recorded his Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys.
Oh, a great song. Yeah.
Now, Ed Bruce also found fame playing James Garner's saloon partner and sheriff in Brett Maverick from 1981 to 1982. His 1964 single, I'm Gonna Have a Party, can sell for $1,000 today.
Oh, boy, we're getting up there, aren't we?
His daddy was a deacon in a Baptist church, and his mother was a public school principal. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the first year. His first million seller was originally called Ida Red.
Fast Domino.
You're close. Inducted the first year into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I thought he was. Don't know.
Chuck Berry.
Oh, of course. Yes, folks. Yeah.
Here we go. I danced with Chuck Berry in my velour outfit.
I wasn't going to say that. I was not going to say that. What I was going to say is that when you think of the initial rock and roll stars of the first class, the first class, I think it was 12 to 15 people. Now they do 5 or 6, but there was no question when they did the vote. Elvis, of course, came up. I think Chuck Berry was the next, and of course the Everly Brothers in there, as is Jerry Lee Lewis and several others. But Chuck Berry would have been among the first 3 put into that list.
And for a long time, it was thought that Maybelline was the first recording featuring Chuck Berry. But it is now known that a few months prior to the release of Maybelline, which can sell for $75, Chuck was playing guitar with Joe Alexander and the Cubans on the 1955 single Oh Maria, released by Ballad Records. A copy of that 45 now worth up to $1,500. Chances are anything Beach Boys related is collectible, but beware of counterfeits. In 1961, Safari Records released the first single produced by Brian Wilson. Also written by Brian Wilson, Surfer Moon was recorded by Bob Norberg and Sherry Pomeroy. Original copies with a light blue label are worth up to $1,500. Beware of pink label copies. Those are counterfeits.
Oh, wow.
You can go to moneymusic.com, and in the record guide that we put out, we describe all counterfeits so you know which one is real and which one is fake.
I want to ask you something about counterfeits.
Yes.
So why would these counterfeit people be making these records?
Trying to make money. Why not?
But I mean to sell them for a regular price, or to try to sell them for a big price?
Big price.
Oh, so in other words, they find out so somebody trying to copy the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me now, Mighty, that you keep talking about counterfeit records. I thought they were just, as you know, well, you may not know, but if you go to Thailand, Bangkok, for example, or anywhere, a big city, they will sell you the best of Frank Sinatra, the best of the Beatles, the best of whoever, Elvis, and what they are is they're just pirated.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And if they catch you going through customs with like 10 albums like that, you go, where'd you buy these? Bangkok. They take them. I bought them in a regular record store. Yeah, get out of here.
And they resell them on eBay after that.
As well as Gucci wallets and Louis Vuitton and all that stuff. It's pretty incredible.
Now, before we get to number 1 on today's countdown, we're going to tell you how you can get free record appraisals. Please limit your list to 3 records so we can give as many people as possible the chance to get free appraisals. Just email your list to mightyjohn1971@gmail.com and put podcast appraisals in the subject line. List the titles, the recording artist, the record company, and we will answer your appraisals on our podcast. And if we can't, we will still email you the answers. And so everybody that writes in will get a free appraisal. Like Frank from Poughkeepsie wants to know the value of Heroes and Villains.
Oh, that's Beach Boys.
Beach Boys.
Yep.
Says he was told there are different values. Is he right, Terry?
I'm going to guess yes.
Yes. Released in 1967, the value all depends on the record label. The Beach Boys released it on their own label. Do you know what the name of their own label was?
I do not.
Brother Records.
I didn't know.
Worth up to $100 with its picture sleeve. The same 45 on Capitol Records can sell for $600 with its picture sleeve. Little things make a big difference. Derry, I know you're going on a big cruise pretty soon.
World cruise, yes, I am.
You should be singing the song all the way.
Sea cruise.
You got it.
Yes.
Ooh-wee, baby. Who did it?
So I just mentioned the other day. Go ahead. Well, Frankie Ford.
Very good. Released in 1959 on Ace Records. The 45 is worth up to $40, but find it on a 78 and ooh-wee, baby. The value jumps to $2,000.
Wow.
Who are the Hondells? What was that?
Oh, my
big
God.
hit?
I had a Honda because of that song.
Right.
They did the song Little Honda, going to wake you up early, going to take a ride with you. First gear.
Yeah.
Right? Second gear. Hang on tight. Third gear. It's all right. Go ahead.
I don't think I can. Released on Mercury Records in 1964, it could sell for $50 today.
No way.
Who sang? Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey.
Oh, that would be Paul McCartney.
All right. Now, what makes the album Ram by Paul McCartney worth $5,000?
I do not know.
Should we appraise your records before we give the answer?
Well, I'm going to do that the next show, but what I do want to do for my little portion is, first of all, say that this show is sponsored by my TV show, The Rundlett and Baldacci Report, Rundlett and Baldacci, or just Google my name. But I'm going to tell you something, Mighty. In one of our last shows, we talked about Elvis and the tragic death of his co-star in Jailhouse Rock. She literally passed away 3 days after it was filming had completed, and that's one of his best movies. And Colleen from Hamden wrote in and said that she Googled up that fact and read all about this woman. And then she asked me, you've mentioned Priscilla Presley. Please tell me how she looked. Well, Colleen, the answer is this. I saw her in 2017 in Memphis right after the Elvis contest. And all I can tell you is she was absolutely beautiful. People talk about, what about the facelift, so on and so forth. No, she was a beautiful person. And she was just on the Mole Shop cruise, by the way, made a guest appearance on there. I don't know how much they paid her. But that's your answer, Colleen. And I hope you are as beautiful as Priscilla Presley.
Very good, Derry. Now, the only album credited to Paul and Linda McCartney was Ram, released by Apple Records in 1971. The Ram album issued in stereo is worth up to $50. However, a monaural copy, mono, is worth up to $5,000. No original copies list monaural on the cover. You have to look at the record label. And if it says in black print right on the record label, monaural, up to $5,000.
Whoa.
Yes. Now remember, you can find the values for all your records at moneymusic.com. And if you email me at mightyjohn1971@gmail.com, we will send you the values for every Elvis and every Beatles record free. No purchase necessary. Over 2,000 Elvis and Beatle records are on the list. Just state in your email that you heard the podcast and say something nice about Derry. So few people do.
If you can think of it.
And be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mighty John's Money Music, for more free examples of what your records are worth. And keep sending in your list for free record appraisals. My email address always posted on the homepage at moneymusic.com.